Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, the Philippines vows not to remove its marooned Navy ship in Ayungin Shoal, despite China's claims of a long-standing promise to the contrary. The Senate President urges the Marcos administration to secure new trade deals to pivot away from China. And later, lawmakers voice concern over a Chinese state firm's ties to the Manila Bay reclamation project. Senator Risa Hontiveros joins us in the program. The BRP Chara Madre stays in Ayungin Shoal. This is the clear message of the Marcos administration after China claimed that the Philippines has promised to remove its marooned ship from Ayungin Shoal. National Security Council official Jonathan Malaya said there's no legal document or any proof of a binding agreement. He even calls China's assertions a figment of imagination.
We have no and will never sign or agree to anything that would, in effect, abandon our sovereign rights and jurisdiction over the West Philippine Sea, no? In particular, Ayungin Shoal.
And let's go straight to the source of the story. We have Senator Risa Hontiveros. Senator Risa, good to see you again. Welcome to the source.
Thank you.
Okay, let's start with Ayungin Shoal. Ang sabi nga po ni Mr. Malaya, it's a figment of their imagination. Sa Tagalog po parang, ano ba tawag doon? Guni-guni.
Guni-guni?
Yun ang sabi niya. I guess my question, was there any statement that you can recall, commitment in the past that even mentioned that the Philippines was going to tow away the BRP Chara Madre?
Well, straight from the horse's mouth, Mr. Malaya said, not they in the National Task Force for the West Philippine Sea, not the Department of Foreign Affairs, have any written or even memory of any such commitment from our end. Ang ganda po ng turn of phrase ni Mr. Malaya, a figment of China's imagination. So that supposed promise that we made to them to remove the BRP Chara Madre from Ayungin Shoal, which is within our exclusive economic zone. So that is now in the ranks of their so-called 9-dash line, both and all figments of China's imagination.
And why do you think China is asserting that there was a commitment previously by the Philippines to remove the BRP Chara Madre?
Apparently, it's hewing to the Goebbels school of propaganda that if you repeat a lie, though it is a lie, often enough, over and over again, it fixes itself in people's imagination also and becomes the truth. But the Philippines, we are the ones standing on ika nga, solid ground here, to borrow the title of Marites Vitug's book about our victorious case against China at the Permanent Court of Arbitration. Malinaw dun sa ruling that Ayungin Shoal, it is even specifically mentioned in that ruling, ang Ayungin Shoal ay squarely nasa loob ng exclusive economic zone ng Pilipinas. So, talagang figment of the imagination yung ipinagpupumilit ng China na pangako daw natin to tow the BRP Chara Madre away. Why would we? Why would any self-respecting country make such a commitment to remove a commissioned ship, a Philippine Navy Marine station there, kung nasa loob ng ating teritoryo at nasa loob pa ng ating EEZ?
We're clear about that. China, though, standing by its move of blocking and using water cannons on Philippine vessels over the weekend, last Saturday. Senator, in the latest statement that I saw from, I believe, the Foreign Ministry, China's Foreign Ministry, they said that their actions were, number one, professional, restrained, and beyond reproach. Kasi pag sinabi po sa aking restrained, sa akin lang po na mga description, parang nagpigil pa. Is this kind of statement telling us that if we once again do a resupply mission, which authorities are already saying we will do, a similar incident will happen, or it could even get worse?
Well, that is the not so veiled threat of China. At tingnan lang natin yung pagdadahilan nila. Does that powerful stream of water against a Philippine vessel look like restraint to you? Kung yan ang restraint, hindi ko na alam kung ano pa ang todo bigay, no? Baka tsunami na. Was that professional? Hardly. The DFA statement cited no less than 4 international laws that China's illegal actions violated. At isa na rin yung tinatawag na COLREGs, yung collision regulations ng International Maritime Organization. Dahil talagang sumingit sila, binlock nila yung isang Philippine vessel na kung hindi umiwas, kung hindi nagpatay ng makina yung Philippine vessel, the Chinese vessel would have rammed the bow of our Philippine vessel. Beyond reproach, nako, kasisi-sisi talaga, Pinky. Utterly reproachable yung actions niya. Almost ramming because they blocked our vessels, subjecting our vessels to that water cannoning, and then seeking to deny the Philippine Navy and Marines personnel on BRP Chara Madre, on Ayungin Shoal, the regular supplies and rotationing. Kaya hindi talaga katanggap-tanggap yung ginawa nila, at lalong hindi katanggap-tanggap yung kanilang paliwanag kuno o pagsisinungaling pa.
Okay, a note verbal was already sent and issued rather, and the Chinese ambassador also summoned. This is not new to us. This has happened in the past. Senator, what should the government do next aside from these? And it's not to downplay any note verbal that is issued by the DFA. That numbers over 30 just this year. And I think since 2020, about 400. Note verbals, as the DFA had mentioned, is important to clear the narrative that one country is trying to project. Ano po. But what should we do next?
Well, certainly notes verbal are very important because they make of record, they put in black and white, they make official our country's protests. Pero ano pa ang pwedeng gawin ng ating gobyerno? This is precisely why, kung hindi man prophetic, very, very timely yung unanimous resolution na inadopt namin sa Senado, urging government through the DFA and in effect supporting them to take any and all more assertive actions politically and diplomatically. Kasama na isang posibilidad, resolution ng Philippine government sa UN General Assembly at marami pang iba. We in fact shortlisted a few of the more assertive diplomatic and political actions they could take in various forms, resolution man yan, in various international fora, sa UN man yan, o sa iba pa. At sinundan ko pa yan, Pinky, ng isang paalala that last year, I filed a resolution calling for an investigation on many reclamation projects, dozens of which mukhang isang Chinese state-owned company ang nagsasagawa, starting with unacceptable actions within the Philippines as EEZ in the West Philippine Sea. So economically din, pwedeng iparamdam ng Pilipinas yung displeasure natin at yung pagkondena natin sa ganitong mga illegal actions. It wouldn't even be the first time, Pinky, because previously, former Finance Secretary Dominguez already suspended loan processes with this one particular Chinese state-owned company, the CCCC. Tinigil niya yung loan processes for certain important infrastructure projects to include the Davao-Digos Rail segment, the Calamba-Matnog Long-Haul Rail, and the Subic-Clark Rail. Nakakagulat, sa ilalim ng kasalukuyang administrasyon, loan negotiations have resumed, no? Pero nasa interes natin ng Pilipinas i-decline ang anupamang dagdag na CCCC
But Senator,
funding.
if this loan, Senator, if this loan agreement was suspended or canceled by the previous Finance Secretary, Secretary Dominguez, and then now you're saying that itinuloy po ito with CCCC, CCCC. Who allowed this?
Well, kaya kailangan itanong din sa kasalukuyang administrasyon. Baka isa ito sa mga economic actions that they can take as in previous years para iparamdam sa China na ayaw natin ng kanila, government at state-owned enterprises actions laban sa atin. It appears this CCCC is holding two of the current 6 approved reclamation projects in Manila Bay. At sila din po, itong CCCC, yung kasabwat ng Chinese Maritime Militia sa kanilang pagsira ng mga coral reefs sa West Philippine Sea at pag-poach pa sa mga endangered clams. So, may disguise ang CCCC na lehitimong negosyo, pero tinutulungan lang nila yung estado ng China sa kanilang creeping invasion. Kaya pinaalala ko ulit yung aking proposed Senate Resolution number 300. I filed that, Pinky, last year in 2022, and it directed an inquiry into reported large-scale land reclamation projects being undertaken on a nationwide basis here in the Philippines. And siguro naka-spotlight ngayon ang CCCC dahil din sa recently ginawa ng Chinese Coast Guard sa ating Philippine Coast Guard sa Ayungin Shoal.
You said that you filed this resolution last year. Are there moves and actions now to actually look into this particular resolution?
Well, it's still pending. So my reminder to us in the Senate is also a friendly reminder to the chair of the committee to which my resolution was referred na mas timely pa ngayon na dinigin na sana itong resolution. Not just to show our displeasure against these hostile actions of China against us in the West Philippine Sea, pero para ding isalba yung ating kalikasan. In fact, Pinky, in I think 2014 interview, one of our Filipino scientists, Dr. Giovanni Tapang, sinabi po niya na yung reclamation ng 26,000 plus hectares just along the coast of Manila Bay na kasama po ito sa National Reclamation Plan, it would translate to a loss of the same area of seagrass. Seagrass na spawning ground at habitat ng aquatic life. And this would equal or result in an annual loss of 4 to 7 billion invertebrates and 3 to 78 trillion fish. So grabe ang impact sa ating kalikasan. There would also be immediate costs to us human beings, housing and commercial areas sa mga planned reclamation projects na ito would put people in harm's way. Pati food security maapektuhan dahil nga itong Manila Bay, lalo na ay isang importanteng fishing ground. At gaya ng pinag-uusapan natin kanina pa, sa reclamation na ganito, masisira yung mga marine habitats tulad ng mangroves, seagrass nga at coral ecosystem. So for many and more reasons, magandang magbalik-aral ang administrasyon sa ganitong reclamation projects. Ngayon, nakikita natin, konektado pa sa ating national security at national interest dahil sa mga kumpanya tulad ng CCCC na yan. Suspect dito sa West Philippine Sea at EEZ natin, suspect pa sa Manila Bay.
That's something, I guess the question really there, Senator, is why did this happen? Why did we allow this to happen? But we need to take a short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today, Senator Risa Hontiveros. Senator, I want to go back to what happened in Ayungin. Ano po? Timely, sabi nyo, yung Senate resolution, even before this incident last Saturday. This is something you filed. Nauna ho kayo dito. And then in fact, eventually it was amended in a way. There were 5 options for the government to take. Ang naging option ho kasi, bring this resolution to the UN General Assembly in September. But your original resolution was, dalhin na. yung pinasang resolution was it remained to be an option for the executive department to do this. Now that this happened, now that nangyari po to yung sa Ayungin, do you think that dapat mas naging strong yung inyong resolution in terms of not being an option but actually urging the DFA already to bring this to the UNGA?
Actually, Pinky, wala akong regrets dun sa inadopt namin unanimously na Senate Resolution number 718, which was actually a combination of my original Resolution 659 and SP Mig Zubiri's Resolution 707.
Right.
Kasi kahit naman sa original resolution ko, it was an expression of the sense of the Senate urging DFA.
I see.
So urging, ibig sabihin, pagkatapos naming maaprubahan iyon, it would be in their hands now whether or not to take that course of action in that forum at kung anong timing. Wala namang pagmamadali doon because a resolution by any country in the UN General Assembly could take months or even years.
Right.
But we expressed our sense. Kaya
Okay.
masaya ako sa Senate Resolution 718 because it also expressed the sense of the Senate. It included a resolution before the UNGA as one of the possible options. At ngayon nakikita natin the strong actions, diplomatic actions that DFA has taken again, especially after this recent aggressive hostile action at Ayungin Shoal. Confident ako na they will take as many and as appropriate actions as possible to uphold the national interest.
And you had a meeting with Secretary Manalo recently. What can you share with us? And ano ho ba yung kanyang sinabi? Meeting ho ba kayo pagkatapos nung sinamon na si Chinese ambassador?
Well, yes, the DFA summoning of the Chinese ambassador happened before our meeting. Pero naset na po namin yung pulong namin iyon even before naipasa yung unanimously na adopt yung Senate resolution. So it was a very warm lunch meeting discussing, of course, recent events, pati itong hostile action ng China sa Ayungin Shoal. Halos hindi na namin kinailangang pag-usapan yung Senate resolution kasi may meeting of minds naman kami kahit simula dun sa caucus before the Senate adopted it unanimously. Pinag-usapan din namin yung aking legislative agenda kasi gusto kong malaman, Pinky, how I can continue to support DFA in upholding the Philippine national interest, particularly in the West Philippine Sea.
But Senator Risa, did he mention anything of the meeting with the Chinese ambassador? Is there anything that you can share with us?
Well, he did share that they summoned the Chinese ambassador, and the Philippine side expressed our thoughts and opinions on that hostile action in very, very clear terms. Pero syempre, as we've seen in the statement of the Chinese ambassador, which DFA has also already responded to, pareho pa rin ang playbook ng Chinese ambassador. Pareho pa rin ang siguro marching orders niya mula sa kanyang foreign ministry. The foreign ministry itself has also spoken. So ano pa rin, nagmamatigas ng ulo pa rin at loob ang China na hindi nila talaga kinikilala yung karapatan natin sa West Philippine Sea at sa ating exclusive economic zone, which makes our Senate resolution even more and more timely. And I think the executive will appreciate it even more now, these days, this week, in the wake of the Ayungin hostile action.
Among the options in that Senate resolution, there were 4 or 5. One, of course, as you mentioned, is to take this before the UN General Assembly. Again, which you mentioned, isn't really that easy. That should have been prepared months, maybe even years. It must be calendared, etc. Hindi po ganun kadali na mag-file lang ng resolution before the UNGA. Among the suggestions that the Senate had put forward, what is the DFA inclined to do?
I cannot second guess them, Pinky. Kahit sa caucus, at least sabi nila wala silang opposition dun sa resolution at pag-aaralan nila yung iba't ibang actions that they can take, as they have been doing, at inilista nga namin ang ilan sa aming combined resolution, yung naging
Okay.
Senate Resolution number 7.
Okay. Senator, did I lose the senator?
No,
Okay, you're
I'm
still
here.
there. Medyo nawala po kayo ng saglit, Senator. There's a suggestion from Congressman, I believe it was Congressman Rodriguez, if I'm not mistaken, to downgrade our embassy in China. And in fact, it went on to say we should even send a lower ranked diplomat. Do you think this is a good idea?
Well, it's worth studying. I'm sure the DFA has heard Rep. Rufus loud and clear, and it's always in the arsenal of any foreign affairs department or ministry when a foreign country has taken hostile action against us. So I'm sure the DFA is also studying that suggestion of Rep. Rufus.
But that's something you feel, as a senator, you need to look into because of the possible many repercussions of doing such an action.
Well, any diplomatic action, of course, the possible repercussions must be studied. And any hostile action against us, we must also study what is the right scale and tone of our reaction. Basta't at lumabas din ito sa mga surveys, Pinky, at pinaalala ito ni SP during the interpellation of my original resolution, top of mind ng mga Pilipino at pabor tayong mga Pilipino. 80% of us, according to the survey, that China get out of the West Philippine Sea and our exclusive economic zone, and 90% favor government taking more assertive actions to achieve that scenario.
We'll be taking another break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're back on The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today is Senator Risa Hontiveros. Now let's talk about Intel funds. Senator Risa, I read an article that actually said, quoted Representative Castro saying that the Philippine Coast Guard has gotten 10 million pesos in Intel funds since 2009. Hindi na daw tumaas yan ng 10 million. Number one, will you push for an increase in their Intel funds? Number two, by how much?
I think we should support the increase of Intel funds sa lahat ng ating mga totoong intelligence gathering agencies. And the Coast Guard may well be one of the important agencies in this day and age, lalo na dahil katapat natin ang China in the West Philippine Sea and our exclusive economic zone, as we have just seen again so dramatically and in such an insulting manner in the last few days. Siyempre, yung iba pa nating mga importanteng intelligence gathering agencies ay yung mga intel units ng AFP, ng DND, ng PNP, and of course ng National Security Council. So ito yung mga ahensya na reasonableng tignan kung ano yung mga request nila para sa Intel funds at hindi yung mga confidential and intelligence funds ng mga ahensya o opisina o department which are not Intel gathering. They don't do the analysis. They don't forward their Intel analyses to government, but they are intelligence using agencies. For example, the offices of the president, the vice president, or certain departments like education. So if the Coast Guard has received such a paltry sum in the past more than 1 decade at ngayon front and center din siya dito sa ating karagatan at EEZ, then dapat tignan kung ano pa yung kanilang Intel request this year at kung resonableng suportahan namin sa Kongreso.
So I know that the NEP was just submitted a week ago or maybe even 10 days ago, and I know that the Senate will scrutinize this. But when you are already saying that Intel funds should go to agencies or departments that are involved in intelligence operation and finding, right now, kung meron pong i-realign ng mga intel funds, because from what we know so far, there's about 10 billion. Almost half of that, 4.5 billion, goes to the Office of the President. There's 500 million going to the OVP and about 150 million sa DepEd. Ang tanong po, doon po sa nakikita nating intel funds sa ngayon, saan ho kayo kukuha para ilagay sa, for example, sa Philippine Coast Guard?
Well, nagja-jump out sa mata natin yung mga intel and confidential funds requests ng offices of the President, Vice President at Education. It will really feel, Pinky, like part 2 of Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel's and my arguments last year laban sa mga unreasonable confi and intel funds. Ito yung mga sukat ilipat sa mga totoong intelligence gathering agencies natin. Last year, nagpasok kami ng amyenda sa Senate version ng GAA for these civilian and non-intel gathering agencies to at least present, kumbaga, program of work sa gobyerno, sa Kongreso rather, and quarterly to make a report of how they use these funds. Unfortunately, tinanggal yung amendment sa Senate version pagdating sa BICAM. And so this time around, simula sa Development Budget Coordinating Council briefing next week hanggang sa debate on the individual office and department budgets, tatanungin namin, gamit din ang COA reports, paano nga ba ginamit itong confi and intel funds? And should they not in fact be, again, subject to reduction this year, as I was able to do last year partially with the confidential and intelligence funds requested by DepEd. Nilipat ko sa line item budgets ng DepEd. I mean, we're still in the middle of an education crisis, for goodness sake. So ito ay mga dapat i-reallocate o i-realign mula sa mga civilian agencies na yon papunta sa mga talagang intelligence gathering agencies.
All right. Senator Risa Hontiveros, I wish we had more time. Maybe we'll have a part 2. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Maraming salamat din.
And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.